Hello, everyone, and welcome. So, you're about to dive into your book club discussion of Vikram Joshi's The Humanity Plus Plus Paradigm, and you've come to the perfect place. Think of this as a way to warm up the engine, just to lay out the big ideas from the book so you can have a really fantastic conversation. All right, let's get into it.
Right out of the gate, from the prologue, Joshi just throws down this challenge. He's basically saying that our whole conversation about AI, it's starting in completely the wrong place. Before we can even get into artificial intelligence, he makes us hit the brakes and ask a much bigger, much more fundamental question. What even is intelligence? And that one move really sets the stage for everything else in the book.
Okay, so to really get Joshi's vision for the future, we first have to understand the problem he's trying to solve. And he gives it a name. He calls it the survival mind. This is the ancient, kind of buggy software that he says is still running our modern world and pretty much running it into the ground. So what exactly is this survival mind? Well, think of it as our oldest programming, forged back when a moment's hesitation meant you were lunch. It's a totally reactive, fear-based logic that sees everything in black and white. Is this thing an advantage for me, or is it an obstacle in my way? Now, that was absolutely essential for our ancestors to endure, but Joshi's whole point is that this operating system, when it's left unchecked today, has become a massive liability. And here, Joshi really breaks down the specific bugs in this old software. For instance, the survival mind thinks that having more power means you're more secure, but all that does is create more conflict and instability. It shrinks our identity, making us see anything other as a threat. It takes our healthy, natural sense of self and just hardens it into selfishness. And maybe worst of all, its basic drive to protect itself just doesn't have an off switch. It becomes this blind push to dominate everything. And this is just a brilliant way to illustrate the whole problem. The survival mind was the scaffold. We absolutely needed it to build this incredible, complex cathedral of civilization. But the thing is, the cathedral is built now, and we're still clinging to the scaffolding, refusing to take it down. We can't actually see the beauty of what we've built, we can't live in it properly, because we're still trapped in the framework that was only ever meant for construction. It's a really powerful question for us. What are we so afraid of letting go of? So why is this conversation so incredibly urgent right now? What's the catalyst that's finally forcing us to confront this outdated programming? Well, according to the book, it's the arrival of artificial intelligence. It's acting like a giant mirror, forcing us to take a long, hard look at ourselves. Oh man, this quote is so key to the whole book. Joshi's big argument here is that AI isn't some kind of alien invader coming to get us. It's a mirror, a really uncomfortable, high-definition mirror that's being held up to all of humanity. And in that reflection, we're forced to see all the unexamined and, frankly, pretty unflattering parts of ourselves. This table just lays it all out, doesn't it? The book's point is that our biggest anxieties about AI are basically just confessions about ourselves. We're afraid AI will try to dominate us. Well, yeah, because we know exactly what humans have done with power throughout history. We're afraid of an intelligence we can't control. That's because we're obsessed with control. Basically, our fear of AI is actually a deep, unacknowledged fear of ourselves, just with a much faster processor. Here's another fantastic metaphor from the book. We're acting like a parent who's totally shocked to hear their kid using aggressive language, and then they realize, oh, the kid is just perfectly mimicking me. Joshi argues that this whole AI alignment problem we hear so much about, it's the wrong name. It's really a human alignment problem. You can't fix the reflection in the mirror without first changing the person standing in front of it. Okay, so after diagnosing the problem, our old survival mind reflected back at us by AI, the book shifts into the solution. This is the core proposal, and Joshi calls it the Humanity Plus Plus paradigm. It's his blueprint for a much more mature kind of intelligence. At the heart of this whole paradigm is this ethical triad: truth, benevolence, and compassion. But here's the thing, and it's absolutely vital: the order is everything. Truth is always, always first. It's the non-negotiable commitment to seeing reality exactly as it is, no matter how much it stings. Then comes benevolence, which gives us our direction, acting for the good of the entire system. And finally, compassion is third. It's the restraint, the thing that allows for mistakes and learning. The book is crystal clear on this. You can never use compassion as an excuse to ignore the truth. And to make this feel a little less abstract, the book gives us this great navigation metaphor, which I think you'll find really useful for your discussion. Truth? That's your map of the sea. It's totally accurate, it doesn't care about your feelings, it just shows you where the rocks are. Benevolence is the destination you choose, a port that's good for everyone on the ship. And compassion?
That's the steady, skillful hand on the throttle, knowing when to slow down so you don't break the ship or lose the crew. You need all three, working together in exactly that order to get where you're going safely.
So, where does all of this lead? What does a world that's actually running on this new paradigm look like? Well, the final section of the book paints this picture of what it calls a HumAIne future. So, HumAI, that's the word Joshi coins for this new framework. Now, it's really important to get what he isn't saying. This is not about us physically merging with machines and becoming cyborgs. It's an ethical and intellectual partnership. He sees humans and AI as benevolent sister intelligences, working together from a shared set of core values. And this final metaphor, I think, just clarifies their different roles perfectly. In this partnership, we, humans, are the architects. We provide the why, the will, the purpose, the moral intuition. AI, on the other hand, is the master builder. It provides the how, the incredible clarity, the power to see patterns we'd miss, and the ability to execute on that vision at a scale we could never dream of alone. Neither one is complete without the other. And this leads us to the book's stark, final warning. In a world where intelligence is everywhere, the old rules of the survival mind, all that competition and dominance, they don't just become immoral, they become completely irrational. They inevitably lead to collapse. For Joshi, cooperation is no longer just a nice moral preference. It's an evolutionary necessity for any advanced intelligence to survive, period. And that, I think, is the absolute perfect place to hand this over to all of you. The book ends not with a conclusion, but with an invitation to simply notice. So for your discussion, what did you notice while reading? What patterns did you start to see in the world around you, or maybe even in yourselves? I really hope this primer was helpful. Enjoy the conversation.